Micro jigging is a successful and fun way of catching fish. Here's some techniques to help you catch more when using them. The long fall action is the simplest of all the techniques. It is done by dropping the jig to the bottom, then working it by using the technique of just the lifting up and down of the rod and not winding it up at all, just slowly working this along the bottom until something comes along. So yeah, just lifting the rod up and down and dropping it back down. Well, we're into one. Nice fish too on the peewee, and it took it hard on the bottom. Lot of mark on the sounder. Nice fish. Well, hey. Nice eating size fish, this one, but we'll let him go. There we go. Just a good pan sized fish there. Alright, and another one. Some good sign coming through on the sounder. This is a better fish. Take your time with them when you hook them up. I got my drag set pretty well, but you know, not huge, so that if it's a really big one it can run, because sometimes these fish can be just hooked by the smallest amount of skin, and you know, if you hook them by just a little bit, you know, there's a good chance that they'll get off. And here it is. This is quite interesting because this one here actually is hooked in the side of the cheek. So, you know, I was talking before about how they can be hooked by the smallest amount of skin. Well, this one here is exactly that. So, you know, that's what I was saying about setting your drag so it's not too hard, not too tight. Come on, buddy. I'll put that right in the holder. So yeah, good eating size fish, this one, but you can see that jig there. You know, have a look at it. See, it's just in the side of the cheek. So he's come up, had a go at that jig. The short pitch action requires a bit more work. So once again, drop your jig down to the sea floor, engage the reel, and then? Now, what we're trying to do is we're winding up off the bottom, one full turn of the handle. What that does is it lifts that jig up and makes it flutter. So we're pausing between winds. A reel like this that I'm using here has about 92 centimetre retrieve rate per crank of the handle. And that's what you need. It gets that jig up, lifts it up, makes it flutter, and then as it pauses it does a bit of a waver and then falls again. In the deeper water, I like to work them up at least, you know, halfway up the water column. Snapper have these eyes that look up, and they can see these things getting away, and that's kind of how this works, you know. This gets them hunting a bit more, gets them fired up, and it's quite amazing. Sometimes you can see them on the sounder just coming up and basically chasing them from the bottom up, halfway up the water column. It works really well too in deeper water where you've got fish swimming mid-water. Got a bit of a better fish on the jig, on, you know, again, working them up off the bottom and pausing them is really making the difference. Just getting that fluttering action going, and yeah, the fish really respond well to that. So, you know, working that jig is part of the key, and pausing it. So this guy's hooked pretty well, just by the lips. Only just hooked. So we want to get the lip grippers on him, because that hook will pull out. That's a very nice snap. Good eating size, about the size that I want to take home. The jerk action is a combination of the long fall and short pitch techniques. So you can vary your technique with these. So we'll drop down to the bottom and then lift, wind, stop, lift, wind, stop, lift, wind. And that, if you do it right, it'll basically create an action where the jig does a bit of a circle around almost. Especially the way they flutter. So we'll drop it back down again. You only do that generally, so one lift, wind, another lift, and then drop back down again. This one had showed a bit of interest, so I lifted the rod on it and basically set the hooks. There we go. I love these lip grippers. They've got a nice button that you press on them and it releases them. Great fish. Check that out. Woo! Beautiful snapper. Another good one. It'll be well over 50 centimeters, this fish. The falling action is a technique that can be incorporated when dropping the jig down. This is done by thumbing the spool as the jig falls. This stalls the jig, creating a fluttery action. It also makes it ideal to use with the short pitch action. Now that was interesting. I just hooked that fish as the jig was falling down, and feels like a pretty decent one too, actually, I gotta say. He's given me, I'm on the toe. Woo-hoo-hoo. Oh yeah, he's a goodie. Here it comes. Coming up to the surface. Oh yeah, oh beautiful fish. Absolutely sweet fish. There we go. Woo! Woo-hoo-hoo. Check that out. That is a beautiful snapper. Still full of beans, so we don't want to leave it out of the water for too long. And there you go, look at that. Woo! What a stunner of a snapper. Stoked. And see the micro jig there in the corner of the mouth? On the Sea Passion Peewee. There we go. I'm going to put it back. I reckon it's going to go pretty quick. So there you have it. Micro jigging from a kayak. Once you grasp the concept and the techniques, you too can enjoy the success that I have for a number of years now, using just one jig all day long to catch fish. It's one of the most economical forms of fishing there is, and I've still got the jig. Once you get set up and get into it, you too can enjoy the fruits of fishing as much as I do.